Hi, Miriam.
Hi, Becky.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Um, would you like me to make you the host or?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Do that. There you go.
Thank you. Oh, it's Janice's host.
Oh, they pop around. I'm so sorry. I can redo that.
Well, I don't care.
Oh, Janice has to do it.
Janice, you have to make me host.
Oh, how do I do it?
You just there's you put your cursor over the camera and press on the camera.
Camera down below or something?
It's right next to your name to the far right.
I don't have a camera. I just have,
You just have a microphone. Oh, this is
Yes.
Audrey.
Let me see. Choose virtual background, pin, hide.
When you
self-
go by, if you open up participants, Janice, and you see the list of participants,
Ah,
and
I
just
just
go right
told
click.
I was able to reclaim host,
oh, good. Thank you.
and
Okay.
then I'm going to do it. Okay, if nobody comes in, we'll get Miriam as the host.
Leslie, you're in the dark.
There we go.
Thank you.
Miriam, you're the host now.
Hi, Leslie.
Thank you.
Have a good meeting, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Who's somebody is Shutesbury host? I don't know who that is.
Howdy.
Hey, Henry,
Henry.
Yeah.
you want to rename yourself?
Yeah. Well, we're doing a special sign on here. The town administrator account we're using that instead of.
Yeah, I know. We're already in it. She made me host.
Okay. All right.
Why don't you just rename yourself?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Or you want me to do it?
I got it.
Hi, Mateo.
There we go.
Good evening.
I'm in a I'm in a different place than I usually am for my these meetings. I'm at my son's house.
Ah,
Karen online
Right.
there.
My husband went away on a trip and came back, and we are Gonna social distance for a little while.
Uh-huh.
Quarantine till we know he's not bringing back whatever
It's out there.
they have in Chicago, whatever it could be. Yeah.
I know 3 people who got it recently.
Well, I do too. I've known some people, so I just out and I don't want it. So
Mhm.
Wear that mask.
yeah, well, he'll just have to test and quarantine for a little while, like the old days.
We're waiting for Bert. He said he was going to be here. It's 1 minute after 7. So. This is going to be a short meeting anyway.
Is that 12:09? Is that Karen?
Yep.
Yes.
Karen. Hi, Karen. Hello, Karen. That is her number.
Mhm.
Can you hear me, Karen?
I can't unmute her.
Can I do that? Maybe.
Nope. Well, you're not host.
Okay.
Hi,
Hey.
Hi, Karen.
hi, we're finally
Yes.
connected.
Good.
We're just waiting, Karen. This is Miriam. Waiting a few more minutes.
How's your husband?
My husband, oh, he's good.
I didn't know. I thought he had been sick for a while.
He was last year, but he is all better
Oh,
now.
that's good.
We have a Fernandez on the line. Okay. Bert. He was there.
Hello.
Hey. Okay.
Hello.
We can get started. So first item on the agenda are the minutes. The minutes.
And we don't have them.
We don't have them. We don't have them, so we'll postpone that for another meeting.
Yep.
Guide board update. Is there
Well, we
any?
had the meeting, so was everybody there?
I was there.
I
I
wasn't
was
there.
there.
I
Bert?
wasn't.
So do you want to recap? Should we recap? So we talked with
Yeah.
the select board
Good idea.
about moving forward with executing a contract, and they were it seemed like the next step would be for Becky to have reviewed the contract that we were given by the contractor, and I haven't heard back from Becky. So I think maybe it's time for me
Just
to
dropped out, Miriam.
reach
You just
out.
dropped out. You just dropped out. So could you repeat that again?
What?
You dropped out for about a minute.
Oh,
there.
sorry. I may have to go to a different room. Oh, you didn't hear anything I just said? Oh,
Well,
sorry.
some of it.
Just
I don't know how
for
good I'm
1 minute. You said Becky had gotten the information.
no, we were waiting for Becky to get back to us about the contract, whether the contract was suitable or whether, and she was going to check on the insurance coverage
Mm.
for
Yeah,
the
the
structure.
plate is.
I'm sorry, what?
Get a plate.
Say what did you say, Karen?
Want to give me the milk and I can open it up?
I don't think it's,
No.
so I'll reach out to Becky. So, one of the issues is whether the town wants to take out extra insurance. My recollection is that the way the contract works is that if you don't insure it, that basically the insurance coverage that they carry will be equal to whatever the price of the contract was. So if it's a $17,000 contract, that's how much the guide board would be covered for. I believe in our CPA proposal, I don't remember, we specified how much insurance coverage we wanted from the contractor. I thought it was 10, somehow I thought it was 10,000. I mean, we wanted 10,000. Maybe that wasn't in the CPA proposal, but I know we talked about a minimum of 10,000. So clearly there would be that much coverage from the contractor side of it. The question is whether the town wants to have some additional coverage or some coverage to cover transportation issues.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that they were surprised, or it seemed that Becky was surprised by that, which surprised me because I would think that all town properties have some kind of property insurance on them. And I know that in conservation work, it's not typical to require the conservator to do additional insurance beyond the value of their work.
Right.
But yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I don't think anything was specified in the CPA.
There has to be, they have to have property insurance. There has to be a municipal policy for town buildings. And I imagine it covers accessory structures on like the library has to be insured. And I imagine, there has to be some coverage for structures on town common, but I don't know. I don't know how you would value this because there's no value to it. It's really it's a historical it's I am gonna I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm going to move to a different room.
Good idea.
Okay, give me a sec.
Good idea.
This is
So I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything more. Is there anything else that we need to do? I mean, it's kind of a select board.
hang on one sec. Just let me relocate somewhere where I can get better internet.
I think we're just waiting for Becky's
Yeah.
response here. They just need to check on the insurance, such as it is.
Well, I think it was also the terms of the contract. And I just don't know. I mean, usually in these kind of situations, people don't kind of, you kind of contractor usually have their contractual language and, I don't know how much open it is for negotiation, really.
I think she wanted to run it by the town council as well,
Hmm,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So
well.
we'll get this done soon enough because of winter coming.
Well, that's the concern. is,
Yeah.
We need to kind of I don't really want to push this into November. I'd like to get this resolved.
Any thoughts on this? Anybody?
One other question that the select board had that I thought was significant or indicative was they asked about how long it would take. And it does occur to me that it's going to be important to publicize well in advance to residents when this happens. Otherwise, people are going to drive by and then it's going to be gone.
Uh-huh.
There might be confusion or panic about that. So
I thought you were gonna say they wouldn't know which way to go.
Get lost.
I don't know. So yeah, I guess we should make sure that like as soon as we know when that date is set, that it's going to go, to make everybody well aware of it.
Yeah, we could do a town announcement. And once it's gone, I imagine it's going to be gone for 6 months. I mean, I just don't think it can be sooner. I mean, it's going to be a few months for the restoration work, and we're not going to want to bring it back until it warms up in the spring anyway. So I think one of the things that we need to figure out is transportation. I have reached out to ask Bob Groves what would be needed to transport it, because he has transported it. So he would have an idea of how heavy it is, what would be required to get it onto a truck and secure it. And then what I would like to do is see if we can, do this with volunteer labor to save on some costs. The structure, how tall is it? It's like 5 feet total, 48 inches. Somebody remember? I don't have it, the measurements in front of me.
It's a little taller than I am, and I'm 5'10", so
Okay,
a little taller.
okay, so it's maybe 6 feet in that range. And I don't know if it could go in a pickup truck or a van. There might be, if we put the word out, we might be able to get volunteers who are willing to help move it, or it might be easier to move it in a van because they'll be more protected.
And I would think you'd want to keep it upright. And in
Oh,
a
yeah.
pickup truck, you might have to turn it sideways or something just for the wind. Or if you have a cap, you wouldn't be able to get it on in upright.
Yeah, if you put in a truck, well, either way, it's going to have to be braced.
Mhm.
And if you were going to put it on a pickup truck, you're going to have it braced. And
Gonna go at
it's a long drive, so
Yeah.
I think having it in a van would be better, if there's a van that's
Yeah.
Or
you
even
know,
like a small U-Haul box truck.
a
Right.
U-Haul box truck. I don't know how much those cost for renting for a day. Been a while.
How much will
think
it
it's a lot.
cost to have?
What?
I don't think it's a lot.
No.
It might
How
be
much-
cheaper than paying them. If we pay them to do the transportation, I think it'll be very costly.
Do you know how much it would be for the Williamstown to do it?
I have not asked.
Okay.
Not on the quote.
It's not in the quote.
Okay.
I was assuming we would find some less expensive way of doing it, because, it's a drive. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. And so they have to do it there and
Yeah.
back. So we're talking about 3 hours of time.
Is it possible it's included in the price?
No, it wasn't. That wasn't what
I
the
mean, they
bid.
didn't specify, but did they say they wouldn't move it?
I told them we weren't including transportation.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I can ask what the price would be. Do we want, we could do some exploration in the community, like put out next door, if anybody has an interest in, or some skills or a vehicle that would be suitable for it. And see, one of the issues with private individuals is that then you have to have, there are some like insurance disclaimer things, waivers that the town makes people sign.
Mhm.
And people who might be involved in lifting it and putting it into the truck, you could get hurt doing that. So, Becky has some form that people have to sign if they're doing physical labor, volunteering for the town.
I mean, it seems also concerning that we're paying $25,000 to fix this thing, and then what if it falls off a pickup truck, or we get somebody to do it that doesn't have much experience moving things?
Right. Well, we would have to be very careful.
We have any
Okay, so-
retired piano movers in town?
Yeah, because they have trucks that are for, I don't know, piano, they would be able to move something this tall. I can reach out to Williamstown and ask what it would look like. And maybe that's better, maybe that's just easier, to not have to worry about it, and because they obviously would have the manpower and skills for doing it.
Or they could at least, if they couldn't do it, they could give us some information about how to go about looking into it. Because I imagine there are probably moving companies that would specialize in this kind of thing if we wanted to go down the route of paying for it. But I think if it's inside a truck or van and braced properly, it's probably going to be secure, unless somebody's driving like, Mad Max Maniac.
Yeah, I would imagine when we do this, if we're doing it with volunteer labor, that members of the historical commission are going to be a part of it. And we're going to be, wanting to accompany it to make sure it's being, I would think we would be involved. So yeah, I can look into it and see what their suggestions are about how to brace. I mean, you know,
Anybody heard of Jimmy Berghoff? He's a mover. He is a professional mover.
no, I don't know.
Yeah, he does pianos. He's done pianos forever and ever. He's very good.
He's very good. I could call him, find out what he thinks,
Yeah,
how much he might charge.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, Marie, if I'm gonna, when do you let me do it?
Sure.
Since I'm gonna be checking with Williamstown as well.
Okay.
I'll send you his name.
Okay, I can find it, I'm sure.
they've moved a couple of times, pianos a couple times for us over the course of years, and have always done a good job. They probably won't do it a separate truck. It'll be part of a load, going from this area out to the Williamstown area, but they will, pack it and buffer it and, protect it and stuff. And I mean, if you have either with them or with anyone else, what do we do about insurance, whether it's a volunteer or whether it's a professional, mover? How do we handle the insurance in case of an unexpected accident?
Well, with Williamstown, or probably with any of them, they give you the option of whether you want to get some auxiliary insurance or go with whatever their base amount is. And, I'm sure that would be the question, is whether we're going to take out some insurance with a mover.
Yeah. Or what do we do with a volunteer?
Well, there should be a way with the town to indemnify
Yeah.
somebody who's transporting things or doing volunteer work. I think that there's a way to do that.
Okay.
But again, it might be simpler just to go with a professional because they're going to be have the insurance system set up. I mean, with a mover, you can usually they have a way of you can estimate the value and take out extra insurance, but it's going to be costly.
Yeah.
But we can see. That's why I was thinking, if we could get a volunteer or a group of volunteers and, some guidance about how to brace it and pack it so that it's cushioned and it's not going to fall over in the van. And we got enough muscle to move it in and out.
It'd be good to find out how heavy or not it is. I mean, it's not solid, right? It's just basically a form.
Hollows. It's hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
probably
hopefully-
not that. It's probably not that heavy. It's just awkward.
It's awkward.
It's big.
Yeah.
That's why, if you have a dolly, in a van and, you can, in a ramp in a van or a truck with a van, a dolly, a ramp, you could
Yeah.
move it up. That's probably the way you're going to have to do it.
Another resource we might turn to for advice about safely packing it and moving it is the historic preservation program at UMass Amherst, the graduate program. Those students are required to do public participation activity, essentially, as part of their, I don't know how many students they have right now, but it's part of their required curriculum. So we might be able to get some volunteer, not labor, but expertise out of somebody in that program about how to safely move that thing.
Oh.
Or we might decide it's easy enough to just do ourselves, not worth the trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can look. I think I had reached out to them.
I did also. Never got it.
We never got anything back, but I think we're going to be able to get guidance from Williamstown. I think that if they're going to do the repair work, they're going to be able to tell us, how they would go about moving it if we're going to do it ourselves. So I will explore that.
Okay. And you haven't heard back from Bob Groves?
I had a conversation with him and I thought he was going to come to the select board meeting and he didn't. So I don't know.
Okay.
So,
All right.
um, the other bit of labor that we did discuss at the meeting last with the select board was labor perhaps to put up a canopy of some kind, a protective structure. And
So I
that-
sent you guys some pictures
Yep.
of exemplars. I don't know if you want to
I
talk
guess we
about
have
that.
time. We have time to sort that out since we're not going to see this baby back till spring.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be nice if we could manage to get some people that are, you know, good in carpentry or something along that line, willing to help make that. And I don't know if the building committee people might know someone or something.
I actually spoke to Ross Greco,
Mm.
Uh-huh.
who is an excellent
Yeah.
carpenter,
Oh, yeah.
and he said he would be happy to be a volunteer for that.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's really nice. Thank you.
That's great. I think we'll be able to get volunteers. I think we'll be able to get volunteers.
So the thing may be just to have a plan. You may need some kind of a draft plan or something of size.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, we can, I did some research. You can, for $25, I can download a plan.
Oh, really?
Tailored to whatever design we want. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you can get, I mean, and this is not rocket science. It's pretty simple, but
Yeah.
the question will be the size. And I think the other question is, do we want to develop another CPC application? That was one of the questions that came up was, I think we talked about possibly doing another CPC application. Were we also talking about just for the roof structure of the, you know, because it's turned out to be more expensive than we thought? Was that also what we were talking about? Or were we just talking about the canopy?
So I know that we talked about the protective structure. I don't know if we talked about another CPA grant for the roof structure. For the protective structure, I mean, I can't obviously speak for the rest of the committee. My understanding from the Community Preservation Coalition is this would constitute preservation. So,
Okay.
you know, they seem to think it would be allowable.
Oh, nice.
So I guess it's just a question of what we decide the cost, and that's going to be based on design. And as far as design goes, I suppose we kind of want to wait a bit until we know what the guide board will actually end up looking, because we want the design of the protective, whatever that structure is, to kind of fit with the design of whatever we decided.
Well, I thought, you know, that's why I gave you guys a couple examples of what I thought. I mean, I think that and I'm forgetting the name of the kind of roof, but a four-sided roof, as opposed to, you know, a pitched roof, if you understand what I'm talking about, four-sided
Mhm.
roof.
Yeah.
I gave you guys pictures of it. There's a term for it. I just can't remember. Not mansard. Hipped roof. I can't remember what that name of that roof is. Doesn't matter. With painted timbers, I think, or with match. I think, you know, the white painted timbers would have a more of a colonial look that would match the aesthetic.
The other thing that I was thinking about when I was looking at the pictures that you sent, Miriam, is something that we need to get clearance from the police department for, because it's on the intersection there. So is it potentially going to be a problem for traffic in terms of
visibility?
Visibility for turning traffic? I don't see how it would be.
I mean, can't see how it would be because it's going to be open.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to move this guide board in from the corner. It can't be that close to the corner with this structure. I think it needs to be a few feet in. The other concern about why I think it needs to be moved in is sometimes when they're plowing, piles of snow get pretty close to it. And I think it should be farther from the edge of the road so it's clear of the snow plow.
Yeah.
But certainly that'd be that's an easy question if we can decide on a location and have them look at it, but, there's other structures, you've got the memorials there, so there's other things that are sticking up out of the ground.
Does that decision about where ultimately it's going to be placed on the town common, does it have to come from the select board since?
Yeah. Well, I think we should give them guidance and then we should ask for their approval. I don't think, I think we should come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And a proposal and then see if that's okay with them.
Do we need to do anything else in terms of Mass Historical? Because it's a historical site, the common, and do we need to get any kind of permission from them for adding something to the common? I'm not sure how that works.
I don't think, I can't imagine that would be an issue.
Okay, because I mean, otherwise, couldn't a town start putting up, little sheds or signs and I don't know, that
We
sort of stuff.
can put it in with it's called a project notification. When
Okay,
I was developing the CPC application, I did submit a project notification to MHC.
yeah, okay, yeah,
They weren't interested and they didn't have any concern about it.
yeah.
We also, I'm just thinking, there was an email I got, and this is reminding me, wondering what it was, somebody had emailed in the last week about wanting to put up a band shelter, I think, on the town common. Do you know about this?
I didn't hear that.
Let me check
No.
my email, and I'm just remembering, was it a band shelter?
I, a couple of years ago, I forget, I talked to somebody who talked to me about the idea of like a,
This
like
is
a
from Paul Lyons. It said,
band gazebo.
he had said, I would like to attend one of your meetings to talk about the possibility of creating a gazebo or bandstand on the town common. I broached this idea many years ago, but the idea met with some resistance from the historical commission. So
Huh.
that was just 2 days. That was yesterday. So
Oh, so that's what I mean. You sort of, who decides what can happen on the common in terms of things popping up? I think select board certainly one, and I don't know if you need building inspectors approval or,
Is it a
yeah, you're
zone?
gonna have to have
It's
you're gonna
not like a
yeah.
zoning thing, right? The planning board doesn't have to do anything, right?
No, it's a building you'd have to have a building permit.
yeah, okay,
But that's not
yeah,
huge. The big issue I do think is, and I think that's a point well taken, that, the town is gonna be looking to us for guidance about how to preserve the flavor and the nature of town common. And the more structures you put on it, the
Yeah.
less it becomes a town common.
right.
It's not a very big common either. It's a small space, really.
Mhm.
But I think that the guide board, we've kind of committed ourselves to wanting to protect at this point.
Oh, yeah,
If we're gonna be investing funds in it, I think, there's also the aesthetic of, there's a gazebo and there's this thing over the structure and there's the memorial. It starts to be a lot of stuff.
right. Yeah, so we want to have a good look. I wonder if there's like a landscape architect or somebody in town that might help with thinking about placement of the guide board and structure in relation to those other memorials and stuff.
Well, I think we should go out and take a look at it ourselves.
Visuals, yeah,
Because we want the guide board to
still be noticeable.
be noticeable. We don't want to put it, let's say, in the far interior of
Yeah,
common near the library building.
right.
But I was just thinking about 10 feet in from where it is.
Hmm.
So that
And
it
maybe a little more across from the town hall, sort of
maybe, yeah.
something like that, maybe or something.
One
Mhm.
thing that I remember reading somewhere, I believe it was the Williamstown folks who mentioned it would be good idea to put some kind of additional, let's say, I seem to remember acrylic paneling,
Yeah, they were talking about plexiglass.
plexiglass.
Yeah.
And that's just a little to protect it from the salt.
Yeah.
Stuff that comes off the road.
Yeah.
But if it's gonna be further in, it shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, was it just that or was it also weather protection? I can't remember how
Weather.
to,
I
what?
guess you're right, weather. as well.
And, you know, if it's a
Sleep.
small structure, you know, plexiglass seems to make sense if it was kind of a bigger, more open, quite bigger thing. I think we have to also think about if we're gonna put a canopy over it, you know, do we wanna possibly reconsider the roof of it?
Uh-huh.
And consider maybe restoring it to the kind of roof that was originally on it, that shape.
A flatter one, in other words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
It's simpler, it's kind of like maybe less expensive because there's less carpentry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll splurge on the canopy.
Well, that makes sense.
By the way, Wendell has a really nice gazebo on their common, and it doesn't look cluttered, even though it's near there. I guess what used to be a church there. People use it quite a bit. It's a nice addition to outdoor kinds of things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You mean
look
that
for it.
what they're talking about for
A gazebo, a separate gazebo.
like a band shell?
That band, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I guess that might be nice for concerts and things.
Yeah.
It's it takes up a lot, like a band shell kind of, it takes up a lot of visual space, right? Because it's not open, it's usually got a back to it.
It's got railing, typically railing.
Yeah, I think a gazebo rather than a band shell would also be more appropriate for be fitting for that space. Band
Yeah.
shells are more 20th century.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Guess it depends in part on what the use is gonna be. Like what is it for concerts? What would you be using it for? I guess we need to hear from Paul Lyons,
Yeah.
so we can have.
Ice cream socials.
What?
Ice cream socials.
Right.
Also,
Wait, you have to be under the gazebo to have ice cream, or you get your ice cream from under the gazebo? I don't understand how I'm confused about it. Unless it's raining and you want to be under the gazebo, I'm not really sure.
Or too sunny.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm not sure what the purpose is, so.
Yeah.
well, people can also have rehearsals there. It's a good space to sing, for example, which is what I do in Wendell. People use it for singing several choruses there.
Huh.
But, and then do they put on concerts there? Is that the point?
Sure. Yeah, rehearsals, ongoing rehearsals. And, anyway, it's just one possibility.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got to get the guide board fixed first.
We can only
Okay.
dream.
All right, that's good. That's good discussion.
So what else is? I think that any other.
We don't have it on the agenda, just bring it up as unanticipated business that I had a conversation with someone who might be interested in applying to be a member of the commission. I don't know if and I maybe I shouldn't speak for him because he hasn't made a decision. But I don't know if anybody knows Nate Hurd. Do you know Nate? Anyone know Nate Hurd? He's on the Energy and Climate Action Committee with me. His wife is on the school committee. And he's a geographer. He's a professional GIS geographer. So I started talking to him a little bit about some of the things that we've been talking about in terms of mapping in Shutesbury and maybe the digitization ideas for our collection. And he was very intrigued by all of that. It sounded very interesting to him. So he would be great. Yeah, I think he would be excellent if he's interested. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for doing that, the mapping of stone walls and stone foundations and whatever other sorts of stone features we may have. out in the woods with the LiDAR.
Yeah,
He's carried
his
quite a
mapping
load.
skills would be great. What?
He's carried quite a load on that energy commission as well. I've seen him working there.
He is, I mean, yes, he, for the
ECAC.
community, yeah, I'm on ECAC with him. The community choice aggregation project is kind of his baby, and he's kind of becoming the lead for it. So that is a heavy lift for him. So he may not have the time for
I
this.
was mentioning it as a plus for him, that he is definitely an engaging person.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
So that reminds me, the digitizing historical records, and I can't quite remember where that was left off. What's happening?
It was left off on a back burner
Yeah.
where it's been just bubbling away, not doing anything. Because I've been busy, and
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm hoping to be less busy though.
So am I, but that doesn't always work.
But that is my plan in the near
Yeah.
future and then to be much less busy. So
Yeah, because I mean, the fall is a decent time to get in there, and if we want to spend any time in that room trying to
yeah,
organize things. Summer was not.
yeah. Yeah, summer is not great, but even in the winter, I don't,
No, yeah, no winter either.
you could work. I mean, isn't there, I mean, there's a little bit, it's not completely frozen. Isn't there a little heat in there, Leslie? I thought it was, is it completely unheated?
I thought it was unheated. Maybe she'll be back.
Excuse me. When I was town clerk, there was some heat, but my fingers were always burning
Ah,
cold, burning cold. The paper is very cold, and it's not conducive to work once
okay.
the weather turns. I think the thermostat goes down to 45 or 50. It could be that they keep it at a different temperature now. I can't tell you that.
Okay.
And yeah, I always say, yes, I want to do this. And then, like Janice says, there's always something urgent and pressing in most of our lives.
Yeah.
I think, I would like to, for me at least, like to get this guide board a little bit
Yeah.
further along and off
Okay.
our plate. And
There,
yeah, because especially if I'm going to put in a CPA, if we're going to prepare a CPA
Yeah.
grant, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research to come up with a design and a budget for it.
Mhm.
but believe it or not, there is organization up there, which I can teach anybody. It goes
Mhm.
quickly, but to get it all indexed, that is a big project.
Right. And then what my goal had been, or my suggestion, given that we have a framework that is in the report from the roving archivist. We had that evaluation, they gave us the instructions, and basically
Greg started to set it up too. And
Yeah,
we were supposed to, I was going to go there and read it off, and he was going to put it in the framework, but it didn't happen.
Right. So, it would be a matter, I mean, and I've said, I'm willing to do this. I've got, a laptop, I've got a spreadsheet. We have to create a logic system, which, isn't that difficult to do. We've been given instructions for how to do it. You label, which file cabinet, and then you kind of go through it. But, my suggestion was try to get one drawer done rather than saying, how are we going to do this whole thing? You take one chunk of it and do a chunk at a time, and then it'll be done. But that would be my suggestion.
Well, I think you have the technology skills, and I have the familiarity skills, and you, of course, being the chairman, would be the best person to start inventorying it. So it's a two-person job. We could just start.
Henry is. But I would be, Leslie, if you want to make a time and get together with me and go in there, I'm happy to do it. I mean, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be a fun thing to do. So if you want to think about in the next couple weeks, even, my biggest barrier to it is I have a key to the town hall, but I don't know if it's the arthritis in my hands or what, but I cannot get the door open. So
Right, and I
sometimes
can
it's
teach you
difficult.
those skills too.
What?
I can teach you those skills
There
also.
must be something. There must be a trick I didn't have.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to help with that too, as backup or whatever.
Well,
I
let's
think
why don't we take this off, why don't the three of us try to find a time?
okay, because I thought we talked about at one point, just there was a particular kind of file that we thought would be of interest to people, that if we just did that to get something new on the website and to just try the whole digitizing process. I don't remember what that file or subject was. I have to try to find my old notes.
That is not ringing a bell to me. I
Yeah.
thought we were just really focusing on the indexing at this point, not the digitizing. So, the first thing is the indexing, and then making decisions about whether or not things are worthy of being digitized, because there's
Okay.
stuff that we might not think is. So, I think as we're going through stuff, as we're doing an index, we want to maybe make a notation as we're doing it about, as we're looking at things, does this seem of historical or broader interest or not? Because I know there's some stuff that's just Xeroxed copies of things that might not.
Most of it is.
Right, so some of it may not be that historically interesting, some of it might be very unique and really need to be. And then the digitizing is a whole nother step. And then whether we create a platform or not, an online platform for it. And there is this program with the state, I think it's called the Digital Commons, where
Yeah.
you can
Or
get
Digital Commonwealth.
Yeah, you can get storage, online cloud storage for a historical archive, and then you can link it to your library site or your own town website.
I think we're talking about maybe something like at the lake, to do a focus like Lake Wyola, to, collect information and then use that for a potential digitizing project as something. I
That's
don't know. It's way back in the back of my head at the moment.
But okay.
I
Yeah,
don't know. It's something like that. I don't know.
That's a pretty broad topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Topic.
Maybe too big. Okay.
Right. Well, let's just stick I think, right now, I mean, digitizing is very labor intensive.
Mhm.
Because, you have to scan things, you've got to label the files, you have to,
Put them somewhere.
What?
Then put them somewhere.
Yeah, you can put them on a flash drive or something until you have a place to organize them online. But yeah, you got to put them somewhere. It's just time consuming.
Okay.
If we do get to the place where we want to do scanning, I have a high quality photo scanner that I'm happy to donate or volunteer the use of.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But also, it could also be a great internship for somebody in the program that Matteo mentioned. One or two people who have to do an internship, practicum of some kind, would be ideal.
Yep.
With supervision. Yeah.
With supervision. There were also a lot of people who are interested. I mean, just on the commission, I know everybody has kind of said they're interested, and
Mhm.
there are other people I think in the community that might step up too. But you gotta, in some ways, the digitizing requires some training, and you want it being done in a consistent way. So you may not want to have a lot of people doing it. You might want to, have some people owning it and kind of getting good at it. All right. So I think we got some ideas, and yeah, but I think it's the indexing is kind of the first step to everything.
Okay.
And if we are going to think about looking for like an intern or something from a college program, we might want to look at an MLS program like at Simmons and the archives management, those kinds of students. I don't know if historic preservationists will really be interested in sifting through documents, but maybe they would.
Mm-hmm.
I had one other unrelated item. Just as I since I brought up the Lake Wyola farmhouse thing last time,
Mm-hmm.
I did reach out to Ethan Parsons, who's the manager of the historic curator program at DCR, and he did say that municipalities are eligible curators for properties in their curatorship program. It's probably unlikely that DCR would transfer ownership to the town, but the town, through the historical commission, could be the curator for it. They're not actively seeking curators for the Wyola farmhouse right now, but they are accepting expressions of interests, which are then going to be used to shape their request for proposals. And he said that would be, what was the phrase he used? In the not too distant future, when they're going to start soliciting proposals for the property. So,
Okay.
But
I'm sorry.
how would we get the funding for it? I mean, we're talking about, it was kind of astronomically expensive to restore that building.
I'm sorry that I missed this meeting that's being discussed. Just for historic purposes, when the state bought the property, there were multiple requests to the select board. There was a meeting of select board at that time and DCR officials at the time in this town hall. And the conditions that the state presented at that time were very expensive, and there was a limited time frame. Maybe between 5 and 10 years ago, they put out a bid, historic curatorship bid program. And I know that Robert Decker, whose grandfather was born in the front room, and he is a contractor, he applied and the state rejected him because he didn't have a good enough business plan. And at that time, the curatorship was the person maintains the property, brings it up to state standards, and at the end of 25 years, it reverts back to state ownership. So it could be that something better will be offered this time, but there have been really a lot of effort put into it, and it's neither time it's been favorable for the applicants.
I just remember when Robert Decker approached us for a letter of support. It was, that was back in like 2017, I think, or 18. And it was almost $1 million.
That's correct.
And that was a long time ago. So I can't even imagine it would probably be at $1.5 million. There's, to make it a public space, you're talking about lead abatement, there's all sorts of stuff.
So DCR did work over the last couple of years to windows, to the roof. They removed lead. They replaced the porch. It still requires significant electric work and plumbing work, but they have done work on it. It's their estimated preservation cost is ridiculously low. It says $631,969. So I sincerely doubt that they've actually done $1 million worth of work on the property. I will also say that it's also according to their report, the historic finishes of the interior are mostly lost. So the interior is, if we're thinking about it from the perspective of historic preservation, we'd be talking about the exterior of the property only, really. Other than, with the exception of some flooring, some doors, and the bar and the dance hall, which retain their mid-20th century appearance. Otherwise, the interior is no longer historic.
Have you had a tour?
I have not.
Okay.
Is anybody inside the house?
What's that?
I've got videos of it. Actually, probably there's some in the commission closet. Back when Millie Bennett was still alive, right before she sold it, she granted historical commission chairman, which was Melinda Leila Shur at the time, and myself, an interview. When she died, I received a $28,000 check in the mail to me, not for me, but to go to the property. And I've been talking, I have over the years talked with 2 different managers. I guess you got the current one, Matteo, who I did not know his name. And right before COVID hit, I was holding out. They wanted to use the money to buy a rotting lawnmower. They wanted to use the money to put in a new boardwalk to the beach. One time they suggested maybe a ball field down opposite Carrie's, and he said, I knew that Millie was very fond of recreation and she might go for that. That went nowhere. Right before COVID hit, and I was holding out, I wanted some state funding to match it. Right before COVID hit, they approached me for $10,000 and they were going to put in 30 to repair the roof. And they said they'd keep me informed the whole way. Well, COVID hit. That, this was in the fall. I sent the check and I never heard from him in COVID. We were all staying inside. So I'm glad to hear the roof was repaired. And they said they would be back at a later point to do an engineering study of the electrical needs, because that seemed to them to be the next step. So keep that in the back of your mind if you're talking to them, that there's still $18,000. But I'm not just going to give it a
who is that? Is that you're personally in control of it, or who?
I am personally in control of it. Yep. And in fact, my brother-in-law, who is now deceased, told me that I needed to go to an attorney and talk about it. And the 3 of us sat down and they said, it's my money. I don't even have to spend it on them, but that is my intention. But I'm not going to let it go to a lawnmower, and I'm not going to let it go to a boardwalk, things that they would be repairing anyway. And I would like to get at least 50-50 match. And I'd rather, Millie was not a rich person, and that she sent this money for it needs to be used in a way that I think her highest goal would have been to save the house. If the state just says, because they've got these properties all over the state, they get these big estates, and they're interested in recreation, not so much as restoring all these buildings.
Yeah.
They got the town of Brewster to take over the Crosby House, Crosby Lane in Brewster. That's an enormous mansion. I go there each year. It's barely ever used. I would talk with people at Brewster to find out how they found, before any of us advocate that the town become the curator. When they were talking with our board of selectmen, they said, oh, just call Brewster. They're going to have weddings and all these things there. I never see it used. And I think it could be a significant maintenance responsibility. We have a lot of old buildings that are municipally owned already. And I'm really advocating that the house and the barn be saved. But if it came to, we just are not going to save the house, then I'd like to see that money go into the barn. So I am watching it very carefully. And as I age, if there's some young person who wants to take over with it, because it's taking a long time to get the right person. So Matteo, keep working at it and know that that's available.
Good to know.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
I'm going to email the commission with the report that Ethan gave me about, it's from August 10th of this year, which just sort of describes what they've done to the property. And it, has information about the expression of interest form. Yeah, I mean, as Miriam said, where's the money going to come from? I mean, it's well beyond what CPC, has in terms of historic preservation funding. So we would be looking at lots of other external applications that would probably take a considerable amount of time. And because the interior is not apparently historically preserved, that raises questions about whether
It would
Certain-
meet,
Yeah, certain funders might look at that and say, well, it's, it's too late for this. I hope it isn't though.
If
Right.
you found the right person with the right energy, the money that I have could go towards a Friends of the Lake or Friends of the building, the Lake Wyola Lodge, something like that. But you've got to find some young energy, and perhaps there's enough well-heeled people at the lake that would be interested in that. So I'm just letting you know, if you run across something like that, I think that would be a very worthy direction to go to for those funds or some of those funds to establish that. But as the attorney said,
lost you, Leslie, to establish what?
to establish a Friends of the Lodge or something like that, the Lake Wyola Lodge. But and I was interested in that when this money came into my hands, and I said, that sounds like a perfect idea. And he looked at me and he said, do you really want to spend the rest of your life as the friend of the lodge? And I said, in my heart, yeah, but no. But maybe someone at the lake, I don't know.
Has it ever been pitched to folks at the lake?
Oh, yes, yeah. There used to be when the state first owned it, there was a whole committee made up from representatives from Wendell, Leverett, Shutesbury, various municipal boards. And we met religiously, select board down at the,
Get Lake
Lodge.
Wales Association to buy it or to take it over.
Right.
they've been approached.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
It's a matter of your life and your life's energy, and quite a
Right.
bit more money than $18,000.
Mm-hmm. Good.
You can always dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are a lot smarter people than me, there are people with development skills that I just don't have. So keep watching.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Well, just to loop back for a second, would anybody like, to take on doing the design research for a canopy? Because we're gonna need to have a design if we're gonna apply for a CPC grant. I think we need to come up with that, the dimensions that make the most sense, and this how we want to do the construction. Is there anybody who would like to do that? I'll try to do it, or in my time, my ample free time that I'm planning on sometime soon. But if somebody else wants to do it, I'll help with the CPC grant application. But that's a piece that we need to take care of. And again, it might require spending $20 to get the design plans, because I looked at a couple of things online where you can you specify the dimensions you want and the design you want, and then when they download the building plans that you need for the building permit application, it also gives you a materials list, so you can actually get a pretty refined budget for the construction materials if you have a materials list.
Miriam, this would be something that we would have some time, right? Because until the whole thing, the project is finished, we won't have.
But if we're applying for a CPC grant for it,
Okay.
we need to put in we need to do it in the winter, in December, and then it had the final applications due at the end of beginning of February. So, and then it gets voted at town meeting in June. So, yes, so we would need to, this would be the time this fall to put this together.
I'd be happy to work on it, but this is not something that I'm familiar with. I'd be happy to do whatever background support.
I know, Bert, you've got some.
I can help. I don't have any experience in requesting grants. I might need help with that.
No, I'm saying I can do that part. It's,
Okay,
if somebody wants to, and I can try to look and give you the links to where I was finding the online down, where you can get the building plans.
maybe I can get an architect to help me out too.
Or you could do it that way, right? I mean, this is all kind of pretty basic stuff. It's a pretty simple structure, and the roof is pretty simple.
But in terms of taking in the whole area and taking into consideration what's around it and its size,
Yeah.
it should be in
Well,
relationship.
you know an architect, don't you?
I sure do. Maybe I can rope him in.
Well, he makes a great hen house. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he could do a great canopy.
Very
They have
detailed.
a quite beautiful chicken house that was designed by their son. I was impressed.
That would be good to just even try being able to visualize it or conceptualize it.
Yeah, so I need to, do you have the measurements of this structure?
I do. I just
Okay.
don't have it handy.
Okay, no, if you can send that to me, that'd be great.
Yeah, I do have. And we're thinking possibly, if it's going to be under a pergola canopy, whatever we're calling it, let's call it canopy for a pavilion roof or something that, and I can send you also the pictures of the exemplars to give you an idea of what I was.
I saw,
Yeah.
the two that you sent already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. All right. Good.
Good.
Okay.
We done?
We're almost there.
Okay.
Anything else?
I have a question about the schoolhouse.
Okay.
Was it ever sorted out? Whose purview is it? I mean, is that town building?
Leslie, who owns the schoolhouse technically? Is it
Town of, I believe technically the school department owns it. The town of Shutesbury first, then the school department. They have never wanted to have anything to do with it, understandably. They've got enough stuff. Historical Commission was the ones who originally took it on in 1976 for the federal bicentennial, and have kept it under their wing ever since because it was the most logical department, and nobody else said, oh, we want to take over with it. So that's it. There's nothing written that says it's under the purview of the Historical Commission. But we always just assumed it was and took charge, and no one ever objected. Kind of like the town common, putting things and taking care of the town common and the town pound. Just, that's how it happened.
Who's responsible for the repairs that need to be done?
I think it's us.
I was there that day when we were noticing that northwest corner, and I mentioned at that time that the Friends just gave the Historical Commission, what was it, $2,500, Miriam, or something like that, for the West Schoolhouse.
Was it that much? I have to go back and look at the I don't know if it was 1,000. It was at least, it was a chunk of money, and
I think it got bumped up. I think it was, we were thinking of 1,000, and Karen Tarlow she's the abutter, made some motion that it be more, and everybody approved it. So I want to say I'd have to go look at papers wherever they are, but I think it's as high as that.
Well,
hopefully
that
the corner wouldn't
that would
take,
pay for materials.
hopefully the corner won't cost that much, but yeah, it's been something we've always raised money for.
So who are we thinking would do the labor? Were we thinking that we would get volunteers to do it?
We don't, I mean, there's no historical considerations for this job. We don't have to get it through.
Don't make a big deal out of it.
Right. I mean, I'm in favor of that, but the thing is, we don't know how deep it goes right now.
Exactly.
So until you remove those boards in the corner, we're not gonna know.
I thought someone was going to speak with the buildings committee about that.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. And so what did they say? Did they say, go ahead, go for it, or what?
Um, Leslie, were you there when we had the meeting with when Steve gave his report?
No, no, the only time I was present was that Saturday morning clean out where we found it. And
I-
I thought,
I
go ahead.
Yeah, I went there with Steve, and it's definitely not just the outer board in that
Mhm.
corner. It goes inside beyond that, because he could stick a screwdriver in through the next layer.
Yep.
So
So
it could be
how far it goes, we're not sure.
yeah, these things can be, it could be a big deal.
Hmm.
But I mean, what permission do we need to get a carpenter to go in there and remove the boards and see what's the scope of it?
I see. So the buildings committee didn't say, go ahead, get started. I'm at a loss in the hierarchy, frankly.
I'm gonna mute myself for a second because I've got my computer.
It sounds like another CPC grant to me. And as to the question of who gives the historical commission the go ahead to work on it, I guess bring it to the select board and say, this is what we've discovered. This is what the buildings committee said. It's got to be looked at in order to determine, get an estimate of cost, and do we have your permission? Or I don't know anything more than that. I would think the select board could definitely give you permission.
We don't have to hire some kind of fancy expert,
Yeah. No,
historically speaking.
I can't speak for this historical commission. We were more of, this needs to be repaired. Let's get it done.
You know who might be worth talking to is Bob Groves, if he's willing to help. Because he has a lot of expertise in restoring antique buildings. Do you know him, Bert?
I don't know him.
Yeah, he lives in Shutesbury. He's a builder.
We
He used to
started the Forsyth
he-
House. That
he
Paul,
used to-
that, yeah.
He used to be on the building committee.
I mean, can we go out to him and ask him to give us an estimate?
If I were on the commission and had a voice in it, I think I would start with the select board and ask them if they had any direction that they wanted us, the historical commission, to have. And then, and say, you know, we have local experts. Would it be okay? I'm sure they're gonna, the select board, anything that the historical commission wanted to do to improve things that they don't have to take charge of, they're probably gonna say, yes, find out.
My sense is that it's easier if we bring a proposal to them. Like
Okay,
if we do some preliminary investigation and then give them something that they can act on, because they're going to feel like they're not they're not in the, it's sort of like with the guide board,
I think you accomplished great things, Miriam, and so, yeah, turn to Miriam's guidance, not mine.
yeah, I think, they're going to say, well, I don't know. What is somebody who knows something? No. So I mean,
And that's where you get permission to get started, yeah.
yeah, so, I would suggest maybe talking to Bob Groves and seeing if he's willing to give an opinion of how much, what needs to happen to do an assessment of it.
I guess do you want to ask him as a volunteer or as a person who has a business who wants to give us an estimate?
Well, that's also a question because he runs a business.
Yeah.
And he might say, well, I'll make a bid. So he may not want to volunteer because he does this for work.
Right.
Yep.
Would there be, would someone like Russ Greco be willing to give a bid, or does he still run his business also? Not give
Russ
a
is
bid, but
retired.
given some advice on it.
I think he would give advice, probably. If he has time, he goes up to New Orleans in the winter.
Yeah, okay.
Why don't you, Bert, why don't you maybe get Russ to take a look at it?
Okay, I'll ask him if he can.
Is there anything further we can get from the building committee? Or, I mean, we've got their assessment on, you know, this needs work and it's deep.
Right.
I don't know what the normal next step is typically.
Well, I don't think there's a normal next step because
Okay.
there isn't like another thing like this. I think that we should just sort of assume that this is going to be our responsibility.
Mhm.
And, you know, when we have a proposal, we can get a green light from the building committee and the select board, but we should come up with a proposal, I think, and then bring it
Okay.
to them.
I mean, I can ask Ross, but without the go ahead to remove some of the wood and look at the extent of it,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to know.
Right,
And
right.
we know
So,
right now, because I think that Steve is very, you know, he's got a lot of skills, and I'm not sure that Ross is going to be able to tell me any more than Steve told us so far. Without
Yeah.
looking
well,
deeper.
you could, you know, to get a sense, we could talk to Bob Groves and ask him if he wants to give an estimate, make a quote of what he would do, a proposal, if we were to hire him, and that might give us some guidance about what to be looking for from other carpenters or people. I think I would reach out to him and ask him if he's willing to take a look at it and make a proposal.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, I think you should.
Thank you.
If you email me, I'll give you his contact information.
Okay.
He's on the finance committee, so
They're going to give me the dimensions of that thing.
Yeah.
Of the signpost.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna hold off on the new recruits. We've got some potential candidates. We're not in a hurry to necessarily have a hearing of applicants.
Yeah.
Play it by ear. All right, so shall we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yep.
We should pick a date for next meeting.
Next meeting, yes. A month away.
So I'm hoping that if we get some feedback from Becky, do we want to authorize me to just go ahead and execute the contract if we have the go-ahead from Becky, or if necessary, set up another meeting in October if we have to vote on something?
I'd say, yeah, yes, that we could vote to let you execute it. And if there are questions or the select board wants something different, then it'd be good for us to be able to have a short meeting and clarify that so we can get things going before
Right, so
November.
we're gonna have to make decisions about transportation, so.
Oh, yeah.
I think what I'd like to suggest is maybe that we do meet maybe in 2 or 3 weeks.
Mhm.
Maybe just a brief meeting just to deal with this.
Okay.
That puts us at the 18th or the 25th.
We don't know how fast the select board's gonna work, but hopefully they can. Should we try for the 18th and we can always postpone to the 25th?
Yeah, let's do the 18th. Yeah. better post it so I can get a Zoom account.
Yeah.
If
I
you
won't
snooze,
be able to be there the 18th.
you snooze, you lose.
Hey,
Okay.
what did you say, Bert? You can't make that date?
I can't make it the 18th.
You cannot.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You want to try for that Tuesday instead, the 17th or something like that, or what?
Tuesdays are really hard to get Zoom accounts for.
Oh, okay.
A bunch of
alright.
committees do Tuesdays. And that's
What
what I'm
about-
what about Monday, 16th? Or,
You
Fine
know,
with it.
we're gonna have trouble if we move off a Wednesday.
okay.
We were kind of, remember, we were given our marching orders about not having it on different nights.
Day of the course. Okay. Mm,
So I think
So
we
the
should,
25th then?
I guess the
yeah, I'm
20th.
trying to,
Oh,
I mean,
fun.
I would prefer to do the 18th just because then, you
Yeah.
know, make some decisions.
Right.
Do you need me to be there? I mean, for quorum, or do you have enough people?
Maybe we'll be okay. I guess. Yeah, let's have the 18th just in case we need it to get things moving.
What's the date of the last meeting that we had in, it was August, what, 30?
I have that here somewhere. I thought it was
So
August
20 something.
August 30th.
30th.
Okay, just. Okay,
All right, so what do you want to do? Do you want to try for the 18th in case we need it for that date
yes,
to get things going?
I would like, so I'm going to
Oh.
post it right now.
Miriam, what about if we reserve the 18th and the 25th? And if we don't need those, we can always cancel any one of them.
Okay,
Okay.
I can do that. Oops. Okay, I just posted the meeting for the 18th. I'll schedule another one. And there were some conflicts. They were telling me what was the conflicts. Due to past due minutes. For June, yeah. Don't say that. Okay, and what are you saying, the 25th?
Hmm.
The only other date that is possible, according to.
If we have to do Wednesdays, yeah.
All right, I'm doing both.
Okay, good, thank you.
Did both, so. So I've got the 18th at 7 and the 25th.
Okay,
All right,
thanks. Okay, can we close?
Yep. Your motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I'll second it.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Yeah, all right. All right. Here we go. Defunct.
aye.
Aye.
Geddes, aye. Tangella,
Aye.
Stone,
Aye.
and Miss Zerwanka.
Hi.
All right. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes,
It's more of a V than a W, I believe.
yes, Javanka, yes.
Zerwanka. All right. See you all later.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Aye.
Take care.
You too.